back to Storytime with Mr. B. Today we're reading a Disney classic called Sleeping Beauty. There was once a king and queen who had everything they could possibly want, except a child. Years passed, but they had no children. At last, when they had completely given up hope, the queen had a beautiful baby girl. The proud parents were delighted. They named her Rosalind. "We'll hold a christening," cried the king, "and the grandest feast ever seen." Servants sent out invitations to dukes and duchesses, to lords and ladies, and to the 7 fairies of the kingdom. "Will you be Rosalind's godmothers?" the king and queen asked the fairies. They knew that fairies gave the best presents. After the christening, everyone went into the great hall for the feast. Each fairy was given a golden plate and goblet, studded with diamonds and rubies. "Wait!" screeched a voice. A furious fairy swept into the hall. No one had seen her for 50 years. "Oh dear," said the king, who had forgotten about her. The king leaped up to get her a plate. The queen rushed to get her a goblet. There were no gold ones left, only plain silver ones. "How dare you forget me?" snarled the fairy. "Time for the presents," said the king hurriedly. As the crib was moved to the middle of the room, the youngest fairy slipped behind a curtain. The other fairies lined up to give their presents. They showered the baby princess with wishes. "You will be graceful, clever, kind, beautiful, a dancer, a singer." "My gift now," snarled the old fairy. "At 16, you will prick your finger on a spinning wheel and die." "No," wailed the queen and began to weep. "Oh," said a duchess and fainted. Silence fell. The guests were too shocked to speak. The youngest fairy stepped out from behind the curtain. "Please don't cry. I cannot stop the spell, but I can soften it. Princess Rosalind won't die. She will simply fall asleep. After 100 years, a prince will wake her." At once, the king declared, "From this day, all spinning wheels are banned." Bonfires blazed all over the kingdom. Every single spinning wheel burned, except one that was hidden. Princess Rosalind grew up just as the fairies had wished. At 16 years old, she was clever, graceful, and always kind. One day, when her parents were out, Princess Rosalind decided to explore the palace. She wandered down long halls and up dusty stairs, until she reached a little room at the top of a tower. There sat an old woman spinning wool. She smiled a sly smile at Princess Rosalind and beckoned her closer. "May I try?" "Here you are, my dear." As Rosalind bent over the spinning wheel, she pricked her finger and fell into a deep sleep. "Ha ha!" cackled the old woman. She vanished with a bang. The noise sent people racing in. They shouted and shook the princess, but no one could wake her. A maid even threw a jug of cold water over her. Princess Rosalind stayed fast asleep. 4 footmen carried her to bed. The king and queen came home and ran to her. The youngest fairy heard the news and flew straight to the palace. She knew that the princess would be lonely when she woke up, so she flew around the palace and sprinkled everyone with magic. The cooks in the kitchen fell asleep. The gardeners in the herb garden fell asleep. The stable boys fell asleep with the horses. Even the jester fell asleep in the middle of a trick. Outside, a tangle of trees sprang up around the walls. Soon a thick forest surrounded the palace. Only the topmost turrets peeked above the trees. Spiky branches barred the way. No one could get through. One day, a prince was out hunting when he noticed the palace. "Who lives there?" "A wicked ogre." "A sleeping princess." The prince decided to see for himself. He strode up to the forest. Roses burst into bloom, and the branches parted. The prince crept through the courtyard, past dreaming doorkeepers and dozing dogs. He found the great hall, with the king and queen and courtiers all fast asleep. He wandered through passages and up winding staircases until at last he came to the princess's room. "Hello, princess," he whispered, and Princess Rosalind woke up. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Prince Leo," he said. "What happened here?" "Everyone is asleep." As he spoke, the palace started to come back to life. Princess Rosalind found her parents, who told them about the spell. The queen smiled. "Thank you for rescuing us, Prince Leo. Please stay for a while." Over time, Princess Rosalind and Prince Leo fell in love. 1 year later, they married, and this time, no grumpy fairies spoiled the party. The